Knowing what you know now, working with Stephen, working in that environment, building your own brand and your own personal brand, what is one thing that people can do today to build their business or personal brand?
Go and share and teach people what you're learning and know. It's about suggesting better ideas. Work out how you're going to try them and experiment with them. It's like, what is the one thing that you want to start and try towards that goal? And if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, okay, why didn't it work? And what can you learn for the next thing you try? If you want to grow, you need to try those new things and stepping outside that comfort zone. The reason people are founders is because they're risk takers and they are willing to try those things. And at the end of the day, founders are the ones that want their business to succeed the most.
No one talks about failing slowly. How do you name that in a room as an employee?
Really good question. I think
if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, pause this and go back. I promise you it'll make a lot more sense. If you've already listened to part 1, welcome back. Let's go. I have a question around, as a founder, there's a lot of misconceptions I had prior to starting my own business. What is one thing that you see that founders get wrong about experimentation?
I love that.
Or a misconception that you think founders have about experimentation that's not true?
Yeah. I think it's the conception that it takes, or perception, sorry, that it takes a lot of time. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time because founders are busy, especially a solo founder. It's hard to find the time in the day to do things. But again, it's if you want to grow, you need to try those new things. And I actually think the reason people are founders is because they're risk takers and they are willing to try those things. So I think they do naturally do it. But it's making sure that when you're a founder, you don't get so bogged down in like the admin and the day-to-day of the job. It's like you can still go and have those ideas of experimentation and creative outlets of trying new things and stepping outside that comfort zone. And at the end of the day, founders are the ones that want their business to succeed the most.
Totally.
And so being able to encourage that in their teams as well, or reminding themselves of it, is so important.
And what about the culture and environment that you have within the business at large, is it that you think encourages you to experiment as much as you do? Like obviously you've got your division and your job and you get paid to do that.
Yeah.
But everybody else doesn't get paid to experiment. So they have a job to do. So how does the culture play an important role when it comes to fostering experimentation?
Yeah, it's really been a mix of being embedded in the culture, but also coming top down. So when someone's experimenting, everyone in the company is like, thank you so much. Like you are contributing to our goal of the company. And especially as founders or co-founders in our case, and also C-suite, it's like them thanking the team is so important.
Yeah.
And being like, thank you for contributing to our goals and for contributing to growing the business. And it's so important to be able to encourage experimentation through that. Otherwise people will just be like, well, what's the point in doing it? I have my job to do.
Yeah.
And in our case, luckily we have kind of created that culture where people now must experiment as part of their job. So it's not so much you do your job, it's every single person has experimentation embedded in their role. They might just have different amounts.
Yeah.
Like production might do slightly less experimentation in their edits than product, who have lots of areas they can experiment on. But really it should be embedded in every single person's job.
I agree. And I think that I fundamentally believe, having worked in businesses, it is a top-down approach. Like whilst the culture is determined based on the people that you have in the team, and then I think that if anyone's like, we're working on culture, I'm like, it's not something that you work on. It's something that just exists as a byproduct of who you are. But I think that fundamentally it comes also down from the leadership, because I feel as though if leaders aren't willing to experiment, then why would their teams be? Because if leaders see it as a waste of time, then their teams will see it as a waste of time. And that has a trickle-on effect, I think. Do you think that there are some businesses that are too small to experiment?
No. The thing is, it's like, I love the examples like Kinzo app, and all of their team have personal brands and they're all experimenting and they're showing them trying new things and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Love it.
And I think they're like a fairly small team and they're still taking the time to do it because they see the value in it. I don't think it's about the size of the team. I think it's about realizing that there's value in experimentation, and someone as one person as a solopreneur can do it. It's just about, are you willing to dedicate the time to experimenting?
Yeah. Or are you willing to run the risk that it'll either work or it won't? And I think sometimes people are probably too risk adverse to be like, well, I'm not willing to invest my time in something that won't work. But I think it became really clear to me when we had the female founder dinner. I sat in my car for like an hour after that event finished and just kind of reflected on the evening. And I was like, so many women were talking about experimenting and how they can experiment in their businesses. And I loved the chats that were happening. But I was like, it kind of hit me and I was like, no, they've all experimented and taken the biggest experimentation of their life, which is starting a business in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, anything after that surely should be so fine. Because I'm like, you've already taken the biggest risk of your life, which is going out and relying on yourself to produce income for you, your family, etc., and backing yourself that it would work. So I kind of feel like since starting businesses, it's made me so much less, scared of failing or taking risks, because I'm like, well, I already started this and like it kind of worked out and it's not where I want it to be right now, but like it will get there and it'll grow. But I think that if you get in the habit of taking risks, you kind of just become immune to taking risks. And 100%. Do you feel like when you are experimenting within businesses, you feel like it's less of a risk for someone perhaps who doesn't experiment a lot?
Yeah.
Because then you're like, well, we do these all the time, so what's the big deal?
Yeah, it's about people also getting used to experimenting when they're not used to it. And you're spot on with, especially founders. I think they're the biggest risk takers ever in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And I love learning and seeing from people like that, because I'm like, what compelled you to take that risk? Whether it was something that happened in their life, whether it's just wanting to achieve something new, like they're really, like founders in general are amazing risk takers. Yeah. And I think that's the best part to learn from them and see like, what did they do and how did they do that? And for us, like even as I think we're taking less risks as employees, but in our company, we're able to take more. And I think how can we encourage more teams to take risks is a really interesting place to be, because the founders are really the risk takers. We don't need to teach the founders.
Totally.
It's the teams, and how do they encourage their teams to take those risks where they don't feel like their job is on the line.
I mean, I see it all the time with businesses being like, we're people, and then you get into their organization, you're like, you are not people. And, there's this big, I suppose, rhetoric that businesses have or use where it's like, we're happy to experiment, we're happy to like test things, but then when you get into it, it's actually not the case at all.
Yeah.
How do you feel as though you have a bit of a feedback loop of if people are actually walking the walk and talking the talk, or is it just no way to spot it unless you're in it?
I think you can tell by speaking to their employees.
Okay.
Like even just by, I think a founder can obviously have one opinion, but then a team really has a opinion, as you say, even on the culture and understanding like how does the business work. And you can see from a team whether they're a team that take risks and are allowed to take risks, or whether they're a team that might be less able to take risks or slightly a little bit more formal, which is interesting, I think, to observe and see like how can you change that culture as well.
Totally. I've always advocated for, in interviews, like, you meet, the HR person first perhaps, and then you meet the owner of the business or like your managing director or your direct boss or whatever. I then think the third stage of an interview should be meeting team and having like an hour with the team to ask them as many questions, because I think that you're so right. Like there's this facade that can be put on through HR or leadership or whatever. But then when you get to actually talk to people perhaps at the same level as you or like even more junior, they don't have the filters. Yeah. And it's really easy to read whether the walk is being walked or not.
Yeah. And also it's important as someone coming into a company that you want to be a part of their culture. Like I don't think it should be all this like, we are this. It should be like telling people what you really are.
Totally.
Because then it's honesty, and then you get what you expect when you go in somewhere. You don't want like different assumptions of what a place would be before you get there, and then it just not meet the expectations.
Totally. Now I want to take a little bit of a pivot or a shift slightly. You work for arguably one of the biggest personal brand in the world, I would say. A very personal brand first business. We spoke at dinner about you have grown your LinkedIn and you've been very focused on sharing content on LinkedIn, which I love that because that's where I followed you initially, and I'm a big LinkedIn girly. I love it. Now your focus is on Instagram.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know and knowing the circles that you run in and the people that you're surrounded with every single day, how important is personal brand in the world right now?
I think it's really important, but in different senses. And I know personal brand is a buzzword.
It really is.
Yeah. I think it depends on the company you're in, but also the industry you're in. And every personal brand, depending on the industry as well, should be different. Like what a content creator personal brand or marketing personal brand would look like is very different to someone who maybe is in the healthcare space and what their personal brand would look like. But I think there's a really unfair advantage on personal brands right now that people who are taking that opportunity are getting that, which is amazing. And I don't see why people wouldn't do it to take that advantage, no matter the industry, but being able to tailor it in your own way as well. So you might tailor it and be like, actually, say if I was working in the health space and I'm like, I want to share what I'm doing, but I don't want it to conflict with my work. So I'm going to share about what it's like to work in the healthcare space without it being too like day to day. And not being then too like salesy, because maybe you don't want to be self-promotional. Some people do. What each side is fine. And really like finding a way or a niche even to delve into within that. Like some of the ones I share now are like, what are my favorite podcasts that week, which don't relate to my work at all. It's just me as a person, but the podcasting aspect relates.
Yeah.
And so it's a similar audience.
Yeah.
So I don't think personal brand has to be so much about the personal ways. I think it should have your qualities and personality in it. But it can be about other topics and areas too if people don't want to just put their face on content. But moral of the story is I would advise people to do it. And like at my run clubs, I like tell the girls there all the time, like, share what you're doing. We're all in different industries. Because it's so important. And Steve told us that at the start. He was like, go and share and teach people what you're learning and know.
I love that. I think the one thing, like obviously we run workshops probably once a fortnight at the moment, and it is essentially we work alongside LinkedIn. They do the whole workshop around, you know, this is why you need to be on LinkedIn. And then we go in with the like individualized personal brand strategies. So like how we can help Grace show up on LinkedIn. As opposed to just a blanket presentation for everybody. And one thing is, you know, we have businesses that are really heavily leaning into it. We've had 2 of the big 4 banks that we've done those workshops with, and they've seen a huge amount of value in them, great results from pilot programs that we've designed with them. But then on the other side, there's people that are like, I'd just rather put my money into ads. Do you think that there's a benefit of having your team grow personal brands? Like you've seen it, and obviously Stephen is the personal brand, but then he obviously has personal brands like yourself and other people within his organizations, and obviously now acquiring Maggie's podcast, Hot Smart Rich, dream guest for me. If anyone hasn't listened to her podcast, I absolutely love it. I'm like, it's on my list to listen to every single week or fortnight. But she's now her own personal brand that sits under the Flight Story banner as well. What is it that we can communicate to those business owners that are perhaps hesitant to invest in their team's personal brands to get them across the line?
I think there's a few reasons. The first one is I believe people talking about you is more powerful than you talking about yourself.
Agreed.
And it's not to say that the founder or the CEO shouldn't have a personal brand. But if you had 10 or 100 employees saying how amazing you are as a founder and a CEO, you are going to look way better to the world. And it doesn't dim your light. And it makes me really sad when C-suite people or founders think the team creating something for themselves dims their light or the brand's light. Like actually it's basically word of mouth marketing, but within the company, and you don't have to pay for it. And so I understand why like the difference between paid and employees, but it's free marketing.
Literally.
And your employees are also realizing how much they love the company and what they've learned. And I think people feel more fulfilled when they're able to, number one, share what they're learning, but also like teach others and realize their skills develop as well. So by me going out and chatting to people, I'm learning so much that I can also take back to the team and help us grow. And I think it's really sad to see people not realize the value of that. And I love when there's more happening now of like companies being encouraged to do that. And they're also taking a step to encourage their employees as well. But I see both sides. I see like the PR side, because you don't want anyone to go rogue and say things. But there's lines like you can make sure things are approved if they need to be approved, or that teams like have certain scopes and areas they can talk about that is like fine with the company. But at the end of the day, it's incredible free marketing that people are just missing out on. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But like, you're going to have to go and either pay for views or try and talk about yourself, and then it doesn't seem as authentic. So I think it's a really interesting authenticity piece of having your team speak. And also the other great thing it's amazing for is recruitment. People want to join your team when they see how amazing the team is from other team members.
Totally. And like we've had Frank and Talia from Kinso on the podcast. We speak to them about it all the time. It's funny. They mentioned like, you know, the question they get all the time about encouraging their team to build personal brand is like, what happens if they leave? And we get that question a lot when we talk about, oh, well, if you build up your team, you know, to be a great personal brand or whatever, that they get poached. And I'm like, if you're worried that they're going to talk about your business online and then they're going to get poached as a result of it, that's the least of your worries. Like, if they're going to leave just because someone offers them a job, like, you have to fix the culture or how they feel about being at work. That's not a personal brand thing. Like, they're going to leave anyway. What would you say to the comment of, oh, well, what happens if they, you know, do get poached or they do, you know, decide to go somewhere else once I've invested in their personal brand?
It's probably the topic that makes me the most angry, because founders are amazing and they are so smart, and it's sad when they get into that mindset of what if they leave? It's like, but what if they stay? What if I was to build a personal brand and I was to stay and continually talk about you and say I'd been there for a decade talking about how much I love your company? Like, it's so small-minded. It makes me really sad that they think someone wanting to build something means that they're going to leave. It's like, no, I love my job and I want to have a creative outlet in my own time. I do my personal brand on my weekend. I am growing that on my weekends and I enjoy it and I have that creative outlet. Doesn't mean I want to leave. And also, truthfully, when I want to leave, it's not going to be to do my personal brand. Like, I already know what I want to do one day in the future. It's I want to have my own business, and it won't be around a personal brand. Maybe that personal brand will help me grow it, but I'm not leaving for the personal brand. And it makes it is really frustrating. It makes me sad that that's how founders see it, instead of seeing it as a marketing tool for their business and how amazing it is. And I think the perception is, if your employee that's building the personal brand is still hitting all of their targets or exceeding their targets, why can they not do both?
Literally.
If they're like underperforming, I understand, have the conversation and be like, something's not working. But if they're still performing, why can't they do both?
Totally.
And also, like, would you not rather them talking about your business than talking about something else? Like, I had a Formula One page. Now I have a page talking about my job and promoting the company. Would you rather me talk about Formula One and not give you free marketing? Like,
Totally.
There's hundreds of thousands of impressions I get every week. That could just be non-existent if I didn't have a personal brand.
I mean, you've taken the words right out of my mouth. I just think, like, I even say to my team, like, they can build their personal brand in my time. Like, write your LinkedIn post, create your Instagram content. It should take you, because of your skill sets, less than half an hour to do. Like, if you're doing that in my time and that's part of a thing that I want to encourage you to do, go girl. Like, I don't care. Like, do it, because there's going to be time that you invest half an hour back to stay late or to work on something or a meeting ran over. So it's like, it kind of all comes out in the wash.
And now, also the returns on that you won't even realize. Like, it doesn't have to be an instant return. It could be a return in the future where someone goes, oh, I saw this person that works with you and I saw them post about this amazing thing, and you just never know.
Totally. And I think it's that invisible ROI that's the hardest selling point. But once people experience it, they are like, it's a no-brainer. And I think that the thing why I'm so passionate about it is I've built my entire business off the back of my personal brand. Talking about the shit that I'm passionate about, talking about stuff that I love working on, etc. And that's all I've done. We've never done any outbound marketing. It's all been
amazing.
organic content that we've created, content that I've created, content that the business has created, and that's what generates our leads. So
I love that.
yeah, I just think people are missing such a huge opportunity by not investing in it. Hello, me again. If you keep coming back to top of mind but still haven't hit follow or subscribe, this is your sign. You have no idea how much it means to me. The more follows we get, the better the guests. The more conversations we can be having, the more you can learn for free. Win-win. So go on, hit follow. I'll wait. Okay, now back to the episode. Do you think that the future of branding is personal?
Ooh, I love that. I see two sides. I see personal branding, definitely, and like a face, but I also see a future where if you're building a business and you want to sell that business one day, can it have a face? Maybe it would have multiple faces, but you don't want to be so attached to a business one day, if that's the goal to sell, that you cannot sell it because it's all based around your face or your persona. So I think it's an interesting one I really think you can still build a brand without a face.
Okay.
Like, not a perfect example because Hailey Bieber is the face of it, but I think Rhodes does really well at building a brand world.
Yeah.
And like, she's still the model in some of the campaigns, but I think the actual brand world of it is super interesting of how people are buying into the brand. And there's so many other brands like that, but I think you can still create brand worlds where you don't need them to be personal. It's really depending on the business goals, I think.
Yeah, fair. Now I've got a couple more questions before we get into quick fire. But I have a question to ask you that kind of dawned on me when we first started chatting. And it's, you're obviously doing a lot of talks at the moment whilst you're here in Australia, rightfully so, as you should. A lot of podcasts. And no doubt a lot of them are going to be around failure and experimentation because of what you do, right? Or podcasting.
Yeah.
What do you wish you got asked about that's not that?
Ooh. First, I could talk about Formula One for 5 hours or
Love.
more. Secondly, paid media. I would love to do a paid media podcast. And because it really, like, I'm so passionate about certain things, and paid media is one of them because of how many founders get hurt by agencies taking their money, getting them no results, and then it's like a massive failure. And I want to like destigmatize that because paid media is a freaking amazing advantage for your business. Organic, incredible, takes longer to build. Paid media is scalable and fast, and especially if you have a product or service to sell, like, incredible for growth. So I would love to have talked about that in a podcast one day, and maybe I will. But that's something I'm really passionate about.
What's your top piece of advice for anyone looking to invest in paid media or working with someone with paid media?
Find an agency that either really breaks it down for you or getting someone in-house to work on it full-time, because the amount you pay an agency, you could probably hire someone full-time and have all of their hours in a day. But really it's about experimenting. It's about trial and error and seeing like what assets are working and not working. I was in the High Smile offices the other day, and like, so cool to see their paid media team are just like world-renowned because they try so much. And it's amazing to see all the things they're experimenting on and trying. But really it's about finding someone who's in paid media that is truthful and going to help you grow and cares about your business and the growth individually.
Yeah, it's so important. I feel like it's the number one thing we hear about when people come to us and they're like, we got burnt by this agency that said that they specialize in paid, but then also could help us with organic. And then neither of it worked. So they're super hesitant. It then ruins it for the rest of the agencies.
Well, like, it does.
The only reason I call our business an agency is because we want to change the narrative around what an agency is. And I don't think, like, when I left the last agency that I worked for, I was like, it can't be that hard to run a profitable business that treats people like people. And a profitable business that treats clients' money like their own. Because I just think you're right. Like, the agency narrative is that people just rip people off. What's one thing you would say watch out for with paid media, with people investing in paid media?
A promise of a really high ROAS, which is return on ad spend. People promise things and then really underdeliver, and it's like being sold the dream. I think you're better off being sold something realistic and over. My biggest thing is undersell and overperform every time. So if they sell you just something good, I would actually trust them more than someone trying to sell me something that seems unachievable.
Fair.
And also they're probably the more honest ones. Like people who break it down for you and really explain how it works and why are probably going to help you perform better than someone who is just using all the jargon and actually it's like all the gear, no idea vibes.
Literally. It's like, it's like any gatekeepers I'm always very nervous of. Like we've sat on calls before with other agencies or freelancers where we will ask a question just because we're curious. We're not managing that part of their business for them, but we'll ask a question and they're like, oh, I don't know why I have to tell you the answer. And they get really defensive. And I'm like, that's the biggest red flag we see with working with other businesses where we're like, if you get really defensive when someone asks a question, it either tells me that you know nothing about what you're doing or that you're trying to hide something or cover something up. And that's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Now, a few more questions before we get into it.
Yes.
Into quick fire. If you had to pick a channel, I asked you this question at dinner and I just think I want to reiterate it because I think that everybody needs to know.
I forgot what question it is.
Great. We'll pretend you don't know the answer. If you had to pick a channel to launch a personal brand or business, which are you picking? Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube?
Oh, definitely Instagram.
Yeah.
And reason being is I think YouTube is amazing once you have a platform and an audience on short form because you're able to convert. I think YouTube's really hard to convert if you don't already have an audience or to be found. The discovery is not there as much as being able to push people from one platform. And then TikTok, I think the relationship is quite superficial.
Agreed.
I think
it's not as deep.
No, I scroll and then I forget your face in the next, not yours. But I forget the person's face in the next second, or after 10 scrolls, I can't even remember what I watched before. And I think Instagram is, yes, it's still a short form platform, but I think it's more community building in the sense that people are saving, sharing. Really, I share sometimes on TikTok, but not all the time. Whereas with Instagram, I'm so much more of a saver and a sharer. And building almost like a curation of what I've loved and enjoyed in that month or that topic. And I see it as slightly more of a platform that has growth potential, I would say, in community and in business revenue and sponsorships and potential opportunities.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I also feel like I'm so less likely to follow someone on TikTok than I am to follow someone on Instagram. Like if I like someone's content on Instagram, I'll follow. Yeah. But if I like someone's content on TikTok, I'll like it and keep scrolling.
Yeah. And also the DM process on Instagram is so much easier. Like if you wanted to DM your favorite creator, you can have a flow. Whereas I think TikTok, it almost blocks you from DMing people sometimes. If they've got restrictions on. So it's not the same as Instagram being able to have relationships with people you follow.
Yeah, I feel as though TikTok, it's hard on the comment section, whereas Instagram is more on that deep relationship building.
Definitely.
Knowing what you know now about working with Stephen, working in that environment, building your own brand and your own personal brand, what is one thing that people can do today to build their business or personal brand?
Ooh. I think it's write down all of your ideas and your crazy thoughts and inspiration for your goals and then work out how you're going to try them and experiment with them. It's what is the one thing that you want to start and try towards that goal? And if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, okay, why didn't it work? And what can you learn for the next thing you try?
One last question before we get into quickfire. What is one belief that you hold about business that most people would disagree with?
It's the one about personal brands. Employees building a personal brand does not mean they want to leave. And I hate when people assume it's that. Because if you just speak to the employee, you know exactly how they feel.
Yeah.
And just because someone is building that does not mean that they want to move on from the company.
Yeah.
Maybe it means they love the company so much they want to tell everyone about how amazing it is.
Yeah.
So reframing the perspective on that.
Love it. I think it's so important. I think the reframe is so important too. Just on that, because I'm you can skin a cat 100 different ways, right?
Yeah.
But it's how you see it and how you want to see it ultimately is if you see it as a detriment, then you're always going to see it as a detriment and you're going to live in that mindset for the rest of your days.
And also just rude to assume what someone wants from their job or their career.
Totally.
Talking to someone and that's why I hope companies have one-to-ones with people is actually understanding what that person wants out of this job or the career and understanding no one is somewhere forever.
I say it to my team all the time, you're not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And I've had people leave and I'm you're not going to be here forever. Don't be sad about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I think also that like, I think it's a really rude assumption for founders or business owners to assume that they are going to be there forever, because they're not.
No.
And I think that Frank says it a lot around Kinso, and he's like, if I build incredible personal brands that are incredible at what they do, they serve a purpose with our business, and then they go on to build $1 million business, someone's going to look back and go, they started there. And he's like, that's a huge win for us. And like, he's like, that's a massive compliment, but he's like, a lot of people don't see it like that. So I'm like, you're always going to leave. There's always something on the horizon. It reminds me of that newspaper article. I can't remember where it was published, but it was about this business that had let go of their team, some of their team members that had second jobs outside of the hours that like, and they were just either like supermarket attendants, or they were like making money online, but they would only work outside of the business hours, and they got let go.
Wow.
Because they had another business outside of their job. And I just think that if you're not encouraging your team to try things outside of business hours, like starting a new job or a side hustle or something like that, then I think that you're missing out on the full potential of the human in the room.
And also realizing like having a personal brand also benefits the company in terms of what they're learning on there. They can then apply to their roles in the company or sharing that knowledge. So it kind of works hand in hand. And I love Kinso doing it, because I think they're setting the standard of showing actually you can build an amazing, successful company, and your team can be successful and they can feel fulfilled, and it doesn't mean they want to leave.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. All right, quick fire questions to close this out. Now, they don't have to be answered quickly, but if they are, then we'll just keep going through them. Everyone always panics. They're like, I've got to answer these quickly. I'm like, you absolutely do not. First question is, name one brand that is top of mind.
Oh, Rode, which I've already mentioned, but I just think they are, of course, Hayley Bieber, but they're absolutely smashing it. And I think they've just created such an incredible brand world that I love seeing the inspiration for other companies to try and do that in their own way, not by copying.
Yeah, facts. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I get a lot of advice.
I'm sure you do.
I think it's just to always be honest and like share how I feel, which is so important. It's not in an inspirational quote or anything. It's just like that I always stand up for what's right, because I do believe being honest is so important in the right circumstances.
Love.
If I'm hiding a surprise birthday, I'm obviously not going to be honest about that. But I think, being able to be honest is so to yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like when something doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah. I have a random question that's not here, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Working with Stephen, what is one thing that you've learned about yourself working with him? Because I feel like as though he will unlock something in people.
Yeah.
In the cultures that he creates within business.
Yeah.
So is there something that you've learned about yourself by either working really closely with him or something that he's taught you about yourself?
Oh God, yeah. I like so much. But I think maybe one of the most important things is like realizing how much value you bring and not being like downplaying it. It's like, actually, we've learned so much to become the second biggest podcast in the world. Like, it's not a small feat, even though when we're in an office in London all together, it doesn't feel that big. Like, we're just in an office like anyone else. And so I think it's realizing that, like actually realizing what you bring to the table and the knowledge you've learned and can share. And he's amazing at that. He always is just so talented at learning and growing.
Love that. I also have another question that's not on here. What's one thing that people wouldn't know about Stephen unless they worked with him?
Oh, he's hilarious off camera.
Okay.
Like so funny, joking around, like a normal human.
Yeah.
Which I love because I'm like, but I understand like he has like a personality online, but people don't get to see his funny side. And he actually really is a really hilarious
capture
human.
that.
I know.
Put that in the YouTube.
I know, like maybe he has to be professional, but he behind the scenes, he's so professional. He is the hardest working, smartest person I know, but he is also really hilarious, which I love.
That.
Yeah.
I love that. What's the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
It's actually contradictory to what I said was my best piece, is that to not say my thoughts and just get on with the work. And it's like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. It's like, oh no, like I am not that person. I know some people are, but I am not that person at all. I cannot keep quiet about if I feel passionate about something.
Love it. No, neither. I knew there was a reason we got along so well. If you have a theme song that played every time you entered the room, what would it be?
Oh my God, I've never thought about that. I'm now trying to think of all of the songs I can think of.
What was your song that you play on repeat? It's like your go-to upbeat song.
No, I know exactly the song, The Man by Taylor Swift.
Love.
I love that song so much. And I just think it's an accurate representation of everything I've just talked about, of how I feel.
I love that. I was like, there's not a better song that sums up what I know of you. So I love that. That tells me everything that I need to know about you. I should have just asked.
Specifically the Leonardo DiCaprio line is
I
hilarious.
love that. I feel as though I should have just asked that at the beginning. It would have been a very short podcast. If you could work in any other business for any other founder for a day, whose company would it be?
Oh, there's so many people I love.
Give me your top three.
I would love to work under Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx. I think she's so interesting and see how she actually really works. I would also love to see how Rare Beauty with Selena Gomez is run. Specifically, not just her as the founder, but all of the people in the team as well. And then, who else? There's so many that I'd love actually to go and work in either somewhere like a Tesla or a Meta and see like what is not necessarily the founder, but what is it actually like inside those companies.
Totally. Get the inside scoop. Yeah. I'm the same. I'm like, someone asked me the other day, I was on a podcast and they were like, if you could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be? And I obviously listed like, I'd love to have dinner with like my grandparents that have passed or whatever and have another dinner with them. But and then I was like, on the side, low key, I would love to have dinner with Madeleine McCann to actually know what actually happened. That's my true crime coming out in me. But I'm like, low key, that's like something that I think about quite regularly. Might be rogue, but
no, I love it. I think it's cool though to be a fly on the wall of some things. And like I'd love to be on a fly on the wall of like a meeting with Elon Musk to see like what is he really like? He's probably the exact same as in media, I reckon.
Probably. Or if it's as weird and wacky as he makes it out to be.
Yeah.
What is your go-to comfort food after a rough day?
Oh, chocolate.
Love. What kind of chocolate?
Everything. I love, here, well, in England, there's like these chocolate, this is so niche, these chocolate like biscuits from Marks and Spencer that I love.
What are they called?
They're like chocolate sandwich biscuits. It's like shortbread with chocolate in the middle. And I think it's nostalgic because I used to have them at my friend's house in my childhood. So it's a very weird nostalgia piece, but obsessed with those biscuits. Or we used to eat chocolate fingers all the time in our office. It was a bad trait. Like Jem, who does our guest producing, used to, we could eat a whole pack just to ourselves.
No, I love that. I'm so here for that. My God, it's actually really funny. I either have like, so it depends. Like if I need to have a meal, like if I've come home and I'm like, I've not eaten dinner, but I need to like eat something quickly. It's really rogue and it's funny because my best friend, Alexis, who has also been on this podcast before, she has the podcast Do You Fucking Mind, which she's a neuroscientist and she breaks down like why the brain thinks the way that it does about certain social situations. So she deals with like people that have written in about like, my friend is doing this, and she kind of breaks down the neuroscience behind why they do the things that they do. Super interesting. But she has a very similar one, and we only discovered it when she was on the podcast last and I asked her this question. So I would make, bear with me, if it's a meal, I'm having like tuna, mayo, cut up pickles, in there, salt and pepper, stir it up, and I have it on a cracker as like a dip. That's my like go-to meal if I've not had a meal and I need something quick and it exists, all of those items exist at home. Comfort food though, I would say like I love a pizza. Like I love going out for pizza or going out for a dinner. But I think if it was a sweet treat, I love just a piece, like pieces of chocolate. Like I love Whittaker's.
Oh, I know.
So good. That's like my go-to sweet treat. But biscuits, it's funny because I feel like I grew up in the UK, right? So I feel as though I grew up on like digestives, chocolate digestives, and they're like such a like nostalgic biscuits. Like my mum will have them at home and I'll be like, I don't have any biscuits at my house, but I'll go home and I'll be like, I'll have 4. Like
I never ate biscuits when I lived in Australia, which is what's weird.
Biscuits is such an English thing.
Yeah, I've never touched a biscuit living here.
I feel like biscuits, unless it's like an Anzac biscuit here in Australia, like I feel like people don't really eat biscuits. But UK, it's huge. Like the Jammy Dodgers.
Oh yeah.
Nostalgic.
My other guilty pleasure is definitely a Red Bull though, which is also
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Like full Red Bull or like sugar-free or
full Red Bull.
Oh, love.
But everything I think to me, I must have a weird something is like everything is really nostalgic. Like we went on a team trip to Ibiza to celebrate once and we had Red Bulls in this like outdoor club thing. And now when I drink a Red Bull, it takes me back to like that moment in Ibiza and just like the good vibes in the summer. And I think that's what it is. I think I have something nostalgic about food that reminds me of that place.
I get that. They do say that like food unlocks memories.
Yeah, it's weird.
But I've got like, I mean, I'm such a big Coke Zero girly I'm like, if I'm having a stressful day and I haven't eaten, I'm one of the people that like, if I'm busy, I just won't eat.
Yeah.
Bad. And I will have like 4 Coke Zeros if I don't eat. I'll just drink them instead of eating, and it's so bad. But I'll just do that.
To be fair, it's Diet Cokes, and I don't drink soft drink apart from Red Bull, but it's Diet Cokes and I'm first.
Yeah, fair. What's the weirdest or most random side project that you've started, even if it never saw the light of day?
Ooh. I had a YouTube channel when I was younger, and I used to film when I was on holiday or vlogs, which was so fun. And I really enjoyed doing that and having like I think it's the creative outlet I've always wanted to have. So having a way to express creativity and talk to people, I love talking.
Yeah.
So that was really fun, and I wish I continued to do that instead of stopping.
Yeah, you should have just continued it to where you are now.
Yeah, but people in school just took the piss, and I think that's why I was like, oh, I'm just gonna stop. And then now I'm like, damn, like if only I hadn't listened to those people and had done it, I'd probably be a multimillionaire with a lot of money.
Probably.
So
School can be awful. Like people at school could be awful. I got so heavily bullied at school, and I just feel as though all the most successful people I know or people that are doing something different got bullied.
Yeah.
I feel like anyone doing something different or like have taken a chance on themselves or backed themselves got bullied. I feel like that's a common through line. A quote that is always top of mind for you.
Ooh. It's actually by Alex Hormozy.
Okay.
And I hope I don't mess this up. It's something along the lines of, he's talking about like outworking yourself down. He's like, if you're going to, don't stare at yourself and shout affirmations in the, I'm going to mess this up.
No, do it.
I know I want to get the exact wording right. It's something about like, can I look
Shall I Google it?
Yeah, it's really good. And
so you Google away.
I'm like, I know the exact word. It's like, don't shout affirmations in the mirror.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's not butcher it, because I butcher quotes all the time.
No, I really don't want to mess it up because it's so good. Oh yeah, you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Okay.
No, I love that.
Do I hold the phone and say it?
You can say it.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know if you want me to pass
you just read it out. Go for it.
Sorry, I'll say it properly. That was me. It's by Alex Hormozy, and he says, you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And I think that's always in the back of my mind of like the actual testing and trying and learning.
Totally.
It's like I still am an affirmations person because I believe in manifestation, but I do think it's like saying those things and actually going and putting them into practice as well.
Doing them. Yeah, two different things. I think that's so true. I think, I talk about it as well when it comes to like sharing content online, and everyone's like, oh, well, what if no one sees it? I was like, yeah, sure, no one might see 1 or 2 posts or 5 posts or whatever.
Yeah.
But in 10 years' time, if you keep going, you'll have this bank of content proving that you say who you said you are.
Yeah.
So
and you learn from it as well. Like the first one's always going to be the worst.
Oh my God, if you scroll deep enough to my very first Instagram post, you would probably see me going to the gym talking about the food that I was eating, and it's heinous, but like it's there and it's part of it. Yeah. Last question, 10 years from now, what do you hope people say about Grace Miller?
Oh, I hope that they say I've helped them in some way. That's all I actually care about. Like people ask like, why do you go on podcasts or why do you go and meet people? I'm like, actually, because I'm not selling anything. Like I don't have a business to sell, which I actually think is like makes me even more interested in going and doing those things, because I'm not just being a salesperson. I just want to help other people grow. And I love that, I don't know if I said this the other night about a guy called London in the US. I met him at like a Red Bull Creator Day, and he was talking about his podcast and then started it. And funnily enough, he wrote on a comment to someone who was like, Grace is actually the reason this podcast started. And I was like, that's so nice. I was like, I don't need any recognition. You don't have to say that, but it's nice to know I encouraged someone to go and do something that they wanted to do.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like that sits with me so much, because when people go, why do you have your business? I'm like, it's to help. And I feel like so similar in that is that if I can leave this world feeling as though I've helped somebody, I'll be, or even just one person, I've taken a step in the right direction. And I can certainly say with my whole chest that you are helping people. And like I said at the beginning, like you are so unbelievably generous with your time, your insights, like your patience, like everything, in like people pulling you in lots of different directions, you know, people, you know, not perhaps being as kind in the way in which they speak to you about needing you to be X, Y, and Z places at once, or trying to take advantage of that. And I genuinely cannot express to you how grateful I am for not only the time that you've spent with me, but just how genuinely you've shown up in those two engagements. Like sitting here with me today on the podcast, I literally feel like I'm talking to a friend. Sitting with you at dinner with the 12 female founders, they've all said to me, they're like, Grace is unbelievable. She's so lovely. Like, and I echo that sentiment. Like, you are an incredible person, and I cannot wait to sit on the sidelines and watch you grow for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, because I'll be right here sitting in the chair cheering you on.
No, but it also doesn't have to be the sidelines. Everyone can be winning, which is the best part. Like, that's what I want. I'm like, everyone can win. But that's a really nice compliment. So thank you for saying that.
No,
but I want us all to win.
And we all will in our own rights, I think, but I will definitely be cheering you on from over here, from across the ditch, as we go. It is a bit far, but it's okay. We'll make it work. Zoom and FaceTime works wonders. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Genuinely, like, it has been such an epic time getting to know you and getting to know the type of person that you are, above and beyond the role that you have and the hats that you wear. I just genuinely think you're an epic human, and I'm so grateful for your time today. So thank you.
No, and I'm so glad I say yes to these things, because then I get to meet amazing people and make new friends. So it's the best thing. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us for another episode. Remember, you don't win by posting more. You win by being the name they think of first. Stay top of mind.